بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Imam Zaid Shakir and I'm here for another exciting Mina Halaqah. Today, brothers and sisters, we're going to talk about the Sunnah of our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he instructed us as he was on the verge of passing from this world, I leave you two things. If you adhere to them, you'll never go astray after me. The Book of Allah and my Sunnah. So the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is alerting us as to the incumbency of following the guidance that's contained in the Book of Allah, and that provides us our orientation, our worldview. It provides us the foundation of our ethics. It provides the means for us to stay in constant contact with our Creator. And so we should turn frequently and return rather to the Book of Allah. We should make it a part of our daily routine to ensure that we're reading it, we're reflecting on its meanings, we're memorizing portions of it to the best of our ability. And if we're blessed to memorize all of it, that's all the better and more beneficial for our soul, and inshallah more conducive to our serving the Ummah. And he says, my Sunnah, my way. The Sunnah can be understood very broadly to be the way of the Prophet, the prophetic way, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And I think it's very important for us to begin our understanding of the Sunnah in its broadest sense. Because in its broadest sense, it informs us of the prophetic path, the path that we walk as believers. So the way of kindness, the way of mercy, the way of compassion, the way of justice, the way of being in the world in a manner that's befitting a person who's following prophetic guidance. And it also more specifically refers to those things that the Prophet ﷺ commanded, those things that he forbade, those things that were done in his presence that he agreed with, or those things done in his presence that he disagreed with or rejected the things he agreed with. Those are the things that encompass his Sunnah. So in this sense, the meaning is more particular and more narrow in a sense as compared to the broader sense of Sunnah, in the sense of the particulars of our religion that are conveyed by the various hadith that we hear narrated from the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So we have a broader sense of Sunnah, the prophetic way, and we have a more narrow sense, the particular aspects of prophetic guidance. And these are conveyed to us by the hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So we know from the hadith that to pray in conformity to certain guidelines is from the Sunnah. So we say this is from the Sunnah in terms of our prayer, to pray 2 rakats before the obligatory prayer of Fajr is from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, because these were rakats or units of prayers that he never left Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam unless there was a very, very well defined reason. So he was constant in this. So we say these prayers are from his Sunnah. And where's the obligatory prayer? We say these are obligatory. Praying in general, though, is the prophetic way. So a believer should lead a life of prayer, and leading a life of prayer and a life of devotion. This is from the Sunnah in the wider sense that we mentioned. Praying 2 rakats, standing and then bowing, returning to the standing position. This is following the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ in the more particular sense. So every believer should always consider the Sunnah from these 2 manifestations. In conclusion, let me say or mention how very, very important it is for us to endeavor as Muslims to adhere to the Sunnah. The traditions or the various ahadith that relate the sunnah to us. How does it come to us? How do we know of this prophetic way? It comes to us through the various hadith that are narrated through chains of transmission. These sunnahs, if you will, or sunan in Arabic, being the plural of sunnah, sunnatun, sunanun. These sunan or sunnahs are conveyed to us. We have a responsibility to adhere to them, and this is what prevents anarchy from overtaking the people of Islam. We generally understand there are 5 prayers. Our entire ummah understands this. Why? Because it's been handed down to us by the hadith and by chains of narration. We understand there's a dress code of modesty that not only is applicable for women, it's also applicable for men. Men should dress modestly. One of the very disappointing things that I see sometimes is a sister, she's very modestly dressed, and she's walking with her husband, and the husband has on skin-tight blue jeans and a muscle shirt, and she's adhering to the sunnah of dress. He isn't. So we should try to maintain these traditions that have been handed down to us, because this is the basis upon which we pass on the religion as we've received it. And we mentioned yesterday, which is irrelevant for all of you looking at this video because you weren't here yesterday, but the saying of Abdullah bin al-Mubarak, which is related in the introduction to Sahih Muslim, al-isnadu min ad-din, فَلَوْلَا الْإِسْنَادُ لَقَالَ مَنْ شَاءَ مَا شَاءَ. That authenticated chains of narration are an integral part of the religion. Were it not for these chains of narration, anyone could have said anything and passed it off as Islam. So we have a religion that's regulated by these chains of narration, and this is how the sunnah reaches us, both in its broad sense in terms of those things that define the prophetic way, and in its particular sense those things that convey to us the particulars of the religion as made known to us by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we've received the religion as those before us received it. The way of Jummah, the Imam stands, gives us the khutbah, sits, stands again, leads the prayer. All those details have been conveyed and preserved in the Sunnah and by the Sunnah, and the whole Ummah agrees on that. The whole Ummah agrees on the timing and the steps that we take when we go to Hajj. The entire Ummah agrees on the month of Ramadan is the month we obligatorily fast. The whole Ummah agrees, as we mentioned earlier, on the incumbency of 5 prayers. The whole Ummah agrees that our liquid financial assets, there's 2.5% owed on them. No one's arguing, no, it should be 5%. No, it should be 1%. No, everyone agrees 2.5%. And this shows the regulatory power of the Sunnah. Our responsibility, brothers and sisters, is to act on it, even if we're younger. And some of you viewing this as you are Mina, this is directed towards Mina. Some of you are younger, but you act on the Sunnah to the best of your ability, and then as you grow and mature, you hand it on and pass it on to others, and by doing that, you've done your job. In conclusion, let me say this. Being a part of this ummah is like being part of a relay team. If any of you are familiar with track and field, the relay, you have the baton. And every runner passes the baton to the runner after him or her. If one runner drops the baton and then falls behind, that runner doesn't lose, the entire team loses. So we are the generation that now have the baton of the Sunnah in our hand. Our responsibility is to pass it on. Why? Because if we drop the baton, the whole team loses. And Allah Ta'ala has chosen us to be on the winning team. So brothers and sisters, hold tight to the baton, pass it on as you got it, and you've done your job to ensure that this is a winning team. So may Allah Ta'ala bless you, may Allah Ta'ala strengthen you, and may we be blessed to join you for another exciting episode of the Mina Halaka. Jazakum Allah khairan. Allah yubarik fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.